You know, on paper, this alliance should have been an absolute disaster. A friendship that defied every single metric, every algorithm, every political prediction out there. So today we're going to unpack the incredible story of the Terrans and the HFY, and how their unlikely bond showed just how wrong galactic diplomacy could be. And yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? You've got the Terrans, who everyone in the Coalition knew as peaceful, gentle. You could even say they were a bit soft. Then, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you have the HFY. Their reputation? Brutal, aggressive, barbaric. So how on earth do these two become the best of friends?
Because that's exactly what happened. And this wasn't some handshake deal, not a treaty of convenience. No, for reasons that just baffled everyone, the Terrans and the HFY, well, they pack bonded. That's really the only word for it. They became this single, inseparable unit, and the rest of the galaxy was just left scratching its head. Okay, so, to really get why this was such a shock, we have to start where everyone else did. The numbers. The official story. You gotta understand, the Coalition lives and breathes data, right? And according to all of their metrics, this friendship, well, it looked like a total train wreck just waiting to happen.
And the main tool they use? It's called the Coalition Aggression Index. The best way to think about it is like a personality test, but for an entire species. It's supposed to measure stuff like, how much a species avoids conflict, how agreeable they are, all to predict how they'll behave. It's the gold standard, the official measuring stick for all diplomacy.
And when you look at the results, wow, just stark is the only word for it. The data was crystal clear. Terrans, they scored on average a 97 out of 100 on the P scale. The HFY, they barely even made it on the chart. We're talking scores somewhere between 2 and 9. So the index wasn't just hinting that they wouldn't get along, it was shouting it from the rooftops.
So these numbers led to some pretty specific labels. The official file on Terrans read conflict adverse, agreeable, and peace-loving. I mean, the data basically painted this picture of a species that would do anything to avoid a fight, just to keep the peace, no matter what the cost. But, and here's the big twist, it's not that the data was wrong, exactly. It was just dangerously incomplete. See, the Coalition's fancy metrics had these huge blind spots, and, wouldn't you know it, Terran cultures slipped right through every single one of them. The numbers told a story, sure, but as we're about to see, it was far from the whole story. And the person who cracked the code? It was the HFY ambassador himself, Garag. While the rest of the galaxy was, treating the Terrans with kid gloves, or younglings gauntlets, as he put it, Garag did something revolutionary. He actually sat down and talked to them. And it only took a couple of conversations for him to realize the official index had missed, well, pretty much everything that actually mattered about humanity.
And this slide right here, this is the absolute heart of it. It's the massive gap between raw data and real understanding. The index said conflict adverse, but Garag saw solution seeking. See, it wasn't that Terrans were afraid of conflict, they were just laser focused on finding a practical solution to end it. The index said agreeable, but Garag saw diplomatic. And not in a passive way, but a strategic way, like a war chief. And the biggest one of all, the index said peace-loving. Garag realized they were actually war-hating.
And that last part, that is so important. See, being war-hating isn't a weakness at all. It's an incredible strength. And the HFY got that instantly. Because when you hate war, it means you truly understand its cost. It means you're willing to do what it takes to get to a real, lasting peace, even if that requires some tough, decisive action. And it means that if you're ever backed into a corner and forced to fight, your resolve is unbreakable. Now that was something the HFY could deeply respect.
Okay, but this big diplomatic breakthrough needed a little spark to really catch on, to spread across the galaxy. And that spark didn't happen in some stuffy council meeting or at a treaty signing. Nope, it came from a totally unexpected, personal moment that nobody could have predicted.
So picture this, a simple gym on a space station. Ambassador Garage is just there, trying to clear his head, going for a run. And that's when he's approached by Kara Lewis, the Terran ambassador's young daughter. Just a totally normal, innocent moment that was about to change everything.
So Kara sees Garage drop down and start galloping on all fours, and she just asks for a ride. What happened next was this sound of just pure, unfiltered joy. A laugh that nobody in the Coalition ever thought they'd hear from a stoic HFY.
It was completely disarming, totally real, and thankfully, someone had a camera rolling.
And that video? It went viral. I mean, everywhere. You have this little human girl just squealing with laughter on the back of this supposed brutal barbarian who's got his fangs out in this huge, happy grin. In a heartbeat, that one image just demolished stereotypes that have been built up for decades. It showed the whole galaxy that maybe, just maybe, there was more to the Uvaldi than the scary stories.
But this wasn't just some flash in the pan, some viral clip that's forgotten tomorrow. This completely changed how people saw the UVA, from diplomats all the way down to the general public. And that shift had immediate, real-world consequences for the UVA people, who, let's not forget, were really struggling just to survive. And we're not just talking about words here. The Terrans went all in for their new friends. They were lobbying, arguing, aggressively pushing for the UVI to get settlement rights. One human group even got clever. They used their gentle reputation to buy up a beautiful garden world, and then they just gave it to the UVI. When nobody else would help, the Terrans gave them a home.
This led to a phenomenon that the Terrans started calling Uvan catharsis. For the very first time, videos started showing up of Uvan refugees, finally safe in their new homes, just breaking down. These powerful emotional releases. I mean, after generations of suffering on a dying world, the simple feeling of being safe was just overwhelming. It was this incredibly raw, humanizing moment for a species that everyone else had written off as unfeeling warriors.
And that brings us full circle, right back to the beginning. All that data, the aggression index, it all told one story: incompatibility. But it completely missed the nuance. It missed the shared values that were hiding right under the surface. And it missed the incredible power of one single, genuine moment of connection. It's just a huge reminder, isn't it? That data can tell you a story, but it almost never tells you the whole story. And it really makes you think, what crucial details are hiding in the blind spots of our own data, right now?